Okay, we're back with part 2. So yeah, you're right. I think it would have been
a whole different outcome.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That was some caucus ass shit.
First of all, I think it's so funny. We wouldn't even made it. Nowhere near.
Yeah,
the gate we would have been dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
I forget her name.
But
and,
you
like,
want to
please
know
forgive
what's so crazy? How people can be scared of someone who is a different shade of, like, I'm black, well brown, but I intimidate people, but I don't do anything that's intimidating.
Yeah.
Them people that storm Capitol, intimidating. The ones that call you the N-word are the most intimidating. You really be minding your business, and somebody just comes and disrespects you like that. Like, out of the blue. You could be at the grocery store. Damn, that's a goddamn nigger. Like, I was only grabbing chips. I was minding my business. Like, that really irks me. I'm never going to forget this one time. I was leaving work, and I literally only lived right around the corner. And I had this hoverboard. I'm riding my hoverboard. Somebody literally tooted the horn, stopped, got my attention. So I'm thinking they about to ask me about the phone. I hover to the side of the car. They're like, yeah, you're a fucking nigger. And pulled off. I'm like, you literally stopped me, right? While I was minding my business to insult me. But yet, we are the threat.
Yeah.
Look at,
and I feel like we do not have a history of being violent towards white people. That is not our history.
Exactly.
But there is a history of white people being violent towards black people, Indian people, all different types of people.
All they do is do ignorant shit.
I think the fear comes from them being like, fuck. Like, they could be violent if they decided to come together and retaliate. Yeah.
Imagine if we was as organized as those people who stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
That's what they fear, though.
That's what they fear. Yeah. I think that's where it comes from, because we do not have a history of being violent towards them. Right. We don't.
Yeah. Color changes things.
Yeah. And when you were saying, like, about we would have never even got up to the building, I can't remember her name, but there was a black woman that was killed for driving past. Yeah, she didn't even get out of her car or nothing. Just was driving, turned around, and they shot and killed her.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have no pity for the white community. I just do not, because it's just
what pity is there to give?
Right. They can act a fucking fool and be not touched, not held accountable, not nothing. So,
yeah, definitely in stores.
Yeah.
I hate that, bro. I hate it. Like, I hate when they antagonize black people and they know they're doing it and they know nobody's gonna come, and as soon as you open your mouth, they're like, oh, we're getting security. Security. I'm like, I didn't even say anything yet. I was really about to rip this bitch to shit. Like, let me say something first. Yeah. And then, like, no, it's so annoying. Or even,
I think when, like, you try to handle one of those kind of situations where you're engaging in a conversation and it's a conversation that's, like, on edge, where, like, this person you're talking to, or
right.
You guys are having a disagreement, and then they say, I'm calling the cops. Or, like, for literally, it's not even a situation where you're calling the cops and just having a basic, or security, or I'm calling my husband, like, just things like that. Like, that makes you want to go outside a person's bed. Like,
for sure.
Why are you
escalating it to that point?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not necessary.
Like, for the people that were minding their business while being black, like barbecuing, like, just all the situations.
I literally, I had my therapy appointment today, and that was a hoot and a half. Okay, because we were talking about, you know, just how I was feeling, you know, checking my mental health, whatever, right? So then we just started talking about, because the last session I was pretty much telling her, because she's a white woman, that it's not only, it's not only.
I've looked. I googled.
Me too.
I don't play that shit.
So,
but I promise you, when we get to Georgia,
I know. I can't wait.
Girl, I
oh my
googled.
God.
I typed in Google. That was one of the first things I did. All these people came up.
Yes,
I said, say less.
I'm so excited.
Say less.
So we were talking about before, I'm like, it's not just, just my mental health, bro. I have to watch what I'm doing because I'm a black woman.
Yeah.
And right before, because our session was ending, and she was like, okay, well, next session, we'll talk about it. We talk about it as soon as we get in the next session. I'm like, oh my God. So she's sitting here, asking me certain things like, what happens to you? What goes on? I'm like, well, I go to the grocery store, when I'm walking down the street, when I'm at the bus stop, when I'm getting into a car, it doesn't matter. It happens to me everywhere. And she's sitting here, like, I'm so sorry this has happened to you. It's so, I'm like, yo, what are you apologizing for?
Right.
What are you apologizing for?
They just think it sounds good.
And she, was literally, disturbed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what happens all the time. And she was talking to me, and she was like, and it makes me so upset because when she was raised around here or something like that, but she's like, when I was raised over here, my family never put me around black people or anybody of color. So I thought that nothing happened to these people. Mm-hmm. But as soon as she removed herself from there and went to a college somewhere else, she went to Pittsburgh. Yeah. She was around black people, right? Yeah. And she was like, what is going on? And she was like, I had to sit there and teach myself that this is what's happening. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm like, I'm glad that you did that. Yeah. And I'm glad that you're able to say that you did that. But there's people who won't be doing that. Yeah. And people in your family who's not going to do that. Yeah. And she's just like, obviously, you should be able to go to the grocery store and do what you want. That's nice. That's beautiful. Right. But I cannot do that.
That's not the reality for us.
I mean, like that. Just because somebody isn't saying the N-word to me does not mean you're not racist, bro. Right. I mean,
it's microaggression.
It's staring at me while I'm checking my stuff. I'm making sure that I didn't steal anything. Why does it matter to you?
I know this one girl who is white, and she was dealing with somebody who's black. And this is one of those times when I was like, oh my fucking God, okay. She's telling me this story about how she brought her boyfriend or the guy around her friends who were all white, and how one of them was like, oh, you're not so scary after all. I've never been around black people before. This is my first experience with a black person, but when you first came in here and you had a hoodie on because it's the dead of fucking winter outside and you were cold, I was a little nervous. But now that I'm around you and I see your fun, everything is fine. And she just was tickled by that and just thought that was really progressive and really, and I was just like,
that's that good.
Can you stop dating black people, because you are literally disturbing me on so many different levels. Mm-hmm. You're disturbing the fuck out of me.
It's just sick though. White women, they're like, well, I want to have children with black men because I want my kids to be perfect skin tone.
Right.
But don't realize that your kids gonna still be black men.
Right.
And you're still have a black husband. It's not, and they really don't care. They don't choose to, and you're sleeping with him.
Right.
You're with him everywhere you go, and you act like you don't see
it. Yeah.
And it's even worse because he's dating a white woman. So now it's like, oh, well, the white people are like, well, why are you with him?
Right.
Oh, I've been through that.
It be the man giving me the look when I see him in the store.
I was in an interracial marriage.
Yes.
Yes, and it was very surprising, shocking to everyone. I know it was probably shocking that I even said it to you guys.
I mean, shit.
Would you do it again?
Probably no. Probably. Yeah. Even the marriage part, just I just feel like there's a lot of cultural difference.
Yeah, I don't have
going on. It's too much.
And I feel like no matter how down they are, baby, it's just, you're not down enough. It's just not for me.
Because if you was put in a situation where it was my life over,
you could help prevent me from dying. You're not gonna
it's not gonna
happen.
I can't. Because I thought, so it was funny because when I started dating her, everybody was saying she was Spanish.
Right.
So I was like, well, that's kind of weird.
Before I met you.
Yeah. I was she looks Hispanic. And I'm like, oops. I personally don't know. I mean, because I dated people like that. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I was like, I don't know. So when she told me that she was black and white, I was like, what? Where? And I saw her mother, and I was like, okay, yeah.
I've never seen your mom. I don't think.
Oh my god.
I
don't know that her mom was black.
Because I remember you saying your mom is. You did tell me your mom is black and your dad is white. Yeah. Because it's different growing up with a black mom versus a white mom, for sure.
I was like, oh, she's like really black. You know, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Your
didn't.
mom really
She's like a black person.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
black, but
like-
like
people
when
think
we go,
that's
that's
her
my
daughter.
mom.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, your mom is so nice. She'd be like, thank you. When we go to the store, like, over here, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
So, I was like, oh, that's different. Because
Yeah.
I never considered being with just a white person. That was never a thing. I was like, that can't happen.
Yeah.
What can I say to you that you could ever understand? Like, even taste in certain music, you don't understand. Food,
Yeah.
nothing. I just did nothing. Nothing. So I was like, this is not. So when I started dating her, I was like, this I like this. This is the only thing I like. I like. You can be mixed, but you have to be some type of black. There's no
Right.
way. I can't even date a Hispanic person because we still don't understand each other,
Yeah,
and they are
this is
still
cultural
racist
difference.
against black people.
They are, and
Like,
like I feel like
nasty.
that's not talked about enough.
No,
Yeah.
I mean I have so many people that we're not gonna talk about that I know
Yeah.
that are full blown Hispanic and are disgusting towards black people. Oh, well,
Yeah.
blue lives matter. What? Because you're white passing,
Right.
sweetie. That's not a thing.
Right.
You know, like, so I think it's funny because you're still Hispanic at the end of the day, but they don't understand that.
Yeah.
And they will always see black people backing up Hispanic people.
Right,
But never the
it's
way
never
around.
the other way around. I had shared something on my Instagram yesterday from I think it was Floss of Couture that wrote it, but she was saying that black women do not have allies. Like we do not. And I was like, at first when I read it, I was like, oh no, that's not true. And then I read the full thread, and I'm like, yo, she is so fucking accurate. Like we are quick to come to other people's rescue. Like, oh my God, you're hurting. How can I help you? Oh my God, you need this resource. How can I plug you? When it is time to be reciprocated, it's non-existent. It does not happen. Like, we don't get it on any level. And I'm like, yo, that is so fucking true. Even from other people of color. And that's the fucked up part, because I have this mentality of we're all in it together. Like,
Yeah.
you know, all of us brown and black and different shades of people and against these fucking white people over here trying to take over everything. But no, we're very much in it by our fucking selves. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the harsh reality of
This is America.
it. Yeah.
Definitely being the one, the savior. I hate it. I hate it.
It's exhausting.
And I can't help it because I just do it.
Yeah, naturally.
Like,
Don't even
It's
think
like,
about it.
yeah, it's
I
like
just
you were
do
born
it.
with a cape and safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working with this girl. She was getting yelled at. This little white girl was
Right.
getting yelled at by this other white woman,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's not cool. I don't like that. I never like just because she's young. Don't do that. Like I
Right.
don't. I say how I feel,
Right.
and then it is like, oh, you just want to start problems.
Right.
Like she really was upset that I said something, and she thought I was purposely not saying people to her because of what happened earlier today. I was like, I had to go back there. I was like, you need a reality check. That has nothing to do with what happened.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're disrespectful, and I'm still gonna do my job.
Yeah.
And she was just like, you know, like in the back,
Right.
like, I fucking hate you. You know, putting the food. And I saw. I was like, she just like, you know, it's just like I was the only black person that was there.
Hit her with the
So
bitch.
like, I'm like, yo, I don't care. And I thought it was so funny because the managers were like, when it comes to telling people no, they will have me do it.
I was about to say, I love how assertive Lyric is. I aspire to be like that. Like,
I
you just are no nonsense, and
I'm
I
so
love it.
annoyed. I just hate it because people were like, "Can you tell them for me?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my
But like, you shouldn't have to
God.
do that. Like, that's ridiculous.
I-
but I do love
Because
that
of her
sense
being
of
like that,
assertive.
she always gets extra responsibility from on
Yeah,
top of her.
which is not
Yo,
fair.
No
it's
extra praise,
so
no extra
no
money,
extra
no
praise.
extra
But I'm
money,
like,
no.
come out the pockets
bro,
with the coins.
All
I had
responsibility.
to
Yeah.
be on a call with a lady at Olive Garden for almost an hour because she wanted to get a refund for the money of food that she ate like 3 days ago. And they were like, listen, like, Lyric, I think you should do it because like she's not
That's how-
understanding me. And I'm like,
How
what
is she
did I
gonna
say?
understand me any differently?
I was like, ma'am, this is not gonna work. It was 3 days ago. You should have said something 3 days ago. But I feel this way today. I was like, well, that's not my problem. And then she was like, okay, and then hung up.
Right.
But when they were on the phone, she was like, I want a discount. I want this. But
Some
I'm
people
like,
don't know how to be assertive. I
No.
remember the first time, like, I was put in a position to fire somebody. It was the first time that I would have had to fire somebody. It was like, sorry, it's going to be extremely difficult. But you got it. You got to do it. I'm like, I know. Like,
I don't care. Yeah.
like, when it comes to, like, it was work. So,
Yeah.
like, when it came to you're messing up my money,
right.
that's easy to do.
Bitch,
Because you
fuck
out
you.
the equation. Like, I was like, yeah.